Manda's Movie Club featuring Dan.
We just got out of the Odyssey. So should we firstly say what the Odyssey is about?
Should we summarize it?
Okay, I'll try to summarize as quickly as I can. So, the Odyssey tells the story of Odysseus, who, after fighting the war in Troy and helping them to win the war in Troy, being the brains behind the operation behind the Trojan horse, is now traveling back home with his crew and faces a series of strange monsters and trials and punishments from the gods, it seems, in the process of sailing home to his family, who he's been away from for 20 years. Will he be able to return home to Ithaca and reclaim his throne and his people's loyalty again, or will he be lost to myth and legends, songs, ballads, other things of that ilk?
He's also trying to get home to his wife and child.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
I think that's pretty key.
That's a pretty key part, yes.
Here's a key question, Daniel.
Yes.
Which I think is maybe pertinent to my overall complaints about Christopher Nolan's modern-day films.
Okay, hit me.
How old does one need to be to come of age, do you think, in this world? How old do you think they need to be?
As in, like, in Greece
old,
at that time?
Yeah.
I don't know, like 12, 13
to come
maybe?
of age.
Yeah. Something along those lines.
Because his son, who he's returning back to, was, I'm going to say, 3-4 years old when he left. 2 or 3 years old, maybe. And he took 20 years, right, to come home. And there's a whole subplot, but maybe I think it's supposed to be the core grounding plot at the same time, where his mum, Matt Damon's wife, Anne Hathaway, she's busy looming, she's just looming there, literally. And all of the suitors in town have gathered henceforth and are hanging out, eating feasts. And she's supposed to marry one at some point if Matt Damon doesn't come back, Odysseus. And then it's also like, or before the son comes of age for his kingdom. So like what? Like he must be, 23?
24, along those lines. So, being played by Tom Holland, who's...
So is it 25?
He's in his 30s now.
Do you think it's 25, maybe?
Maybe 25, yeah. Maybe he's like a year off or something. But I'm not sure. I'm not completely sure.
So I just feel like... it was an interesting film, right? We weren't bored. It captures your attention. It holds it throughout. Performances were great by everyone involved. All the performances were amazing. Mm-hmm. But there is a lack of backstory and detail and heart to Christopher Nolan's characters for me. Not his early films. If you go with Memento, if you go with The Prestige, those films are brimming with character backstory, motivations.
Even Batman Begins, I would say. I would argue Batman Begins is in that realm as well.
Yeah, before he hangs out in a cave.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I can give you Batman Begins. I can give that to you.
Thank you. I accept.
Michael Caine, he's just dripping with backstory. Anyway, and as his movies have got longer and bigger and wordier and more epic in proportion and I guess acclaim, I feel, personally, for me, I just don't want us to lose, like, all our 3 viewerships. I feel, personally, for me, we lose the intentionality of each character and the little moments that make a character worth watching and following their journey and their story and barracking for them or against them. And also their interplay between each other. It's like everyone's just a little solo, like, island by themselves. And then they're supposedly caring so deeply about the people around them, but I actually don't know anything about them at all. There's no time spent in a 3-hour runtime, right? There's no time spent on giving all of the periphery characters, or any of the periphery characters, I would argue, moments of backstory or interplay that would strengthen the audience's connection to them and our empathy for what they're going throughout the film.
Yeah. I was going to say a good example of that is Himesh Patel.
He has such kindly eyes.
He does. Plays his second in command, the one who's, on the boat with him when they're trying to get home from Troy. He's part of the crew that Matt Damon loves so much, knows he has to make sacrifices in order to get the majority of them, or even just some of them, home again. And yet there's a moment where he saves his life against the big metal armored dudes that crush a whole lot of other people, but there's not a moment between them that kind of illustrates their relationship beyond commander-subordinate, if that makes sense.
And there's no moment for him to be whoever he is. I don't know who he is. Who is he? I don't know.
Yeah.
He doesn't have I don't know if he has a family. I don't know if he was like really into water sports. Typical of that day.
Probably.
I'm just like
water skiing was pretty big.
Exceptionally good at running. There's nothing about him that we know that is unique or interesting or different. And that also means that we don't get interplay with the other characters. So after we walked out, we started talking about, because there are some epic fight scenes, right? And they're interesting and they're well shot and they're well played out by like a super ripped Matt Damon. Yeah. God knows what, God he's prayed to for that body.
Probably Zeus.
Or sins he's committed also.
Yes.
Could have done.
Could have been Hades.
Could have just sinned with Hades to get that bod.
I think we should open.
He could be a body double.
We should open an investigation.
Anyway, Matt Damon's super cut, which he shows us many times, and the fight scenes are epic and pretty awesome. But if you think about the fight scenes in Lord of the Rings, of which we are big fans, original Lord of the Rings, not the Hobbit series, you know a little bit about all of the characters, all of the interplay, the Fellowship themselves. Gimli and Legolas have like a bit of a long-standing hatred, and they're both filled with pride. You know that Gandalf has this wisdom that surpasses everyone else's, that he's using to inform the choices he makes that otherwise might not make sense. You've got Aragorn and Boromir both vying to be kingdom of men with their own kind of interplay and backstory. And then you've got the hobbits that are thrown in there, but they've got different characters as well.
And fighting styles as well, which you see in there.
And we've got some comic relief from the different characters. There's nothing like that in this. There's nothing like it. I couldn't tell you any of the other guys' names who Matt Damon, Odysseus is fighting to protect. He does say Hamish's name. Hamish?
I think it's Hamish Patel is her. I think either way, that character, his second in command.
He says his second in command's name a fair few times, but I forgot his name because it's hard to say. But the other characters, I don't know. I don't know what they're into. I don't know why they were part of this battle. I don't know how long they've been in his army, or they've been soldiers. I guess at least 10 years.
Oh yeah.
But it's missing all of the human moments that would make you really root for them and know who they are.
Yeah. So and there doesn't need to be a whole lot of elements of comic relief. We don't need a nobody tosses a dwarf kind of moment or anything like that.
I would have liked that moment.
Well, it could be fun, but I think the tone of this movie was quite different. But just, obviously, he wrote it for the screen, Christopher Nolan. He has moments where you'd think that there'd be a moment or two of almost sort of like light levity on the boat. Like maybe Matt Damon saying to one of the men, we'll get you home to your crop soon, Thaddeus or
crop
whatever. Crop enthusiast. Thaddeus the crop enthusiast.
Great, right?
Yeah.
But why not? We could have had one of the characters be really good at crop enthusiasm, because they stop at multiple islands trying to find food. Maybe that guy is a fucking farmer, and he's going to go out and figure out what they can eat. He's really good at hunting out the edible plants, and then he dies, and we're like, oh shit, what are they going to do now?
Yeah.
Nothing like that happens. Like, there's just a made-up plot line that I just added to enhance the film.
And I think as well, like, people would say to that sometimes. I think if I was playing devil's advocate, they'd say, well, it's not their story, it's not their film, it's Odysseus' story, it's Odysseus' film.
But it all feeds the main story, Dan.
Yes.
It all feeds the main story, because Matt Damon is, of course, a great actor, and he goes through a lot. He also talks a lot. He talks a fuckload. He's always talking. I'm just... Christopher Nolan's films always have people talking a lot about their feelings or their intentions or why they have to do this thing.
They tell, they don't show. Interstellar is like classic tell, don't show. There's so much talking about what it is they need to do, and they don't actually just show you in... This isn't about Interstellar,
No, and Oppenheimer's the same.
Oppenheimer does a similar thing.
And then he's kind of set it up like... as though Anne Hathaway is supposed to be the main character. We keep going back to her story and her commitment and truth and dedication to her husband. But we also don't have a reason why for that either, because we only had like 2 flashback moments between the two of them where we could see their love and her feeling, you know, like he was going to leave her and making him promise to come back. It's not enough. Why didn't we see more of them so we could have understood her motivation more? Why we could have barracked for their relationship a little bit more? We don't really have reason to understand and be on board with their great love that's going to bring him all the way back home. Like another character at one point says, there's no one he loves more than his wife and child. And it's like, okay, show me that. People can't just fucking wander around saying things all the time.
And it doesn't have to be an additional scene or two to bring the runtime up to 180, 190 minutes. It can be a look. It can be Gladiator, where he's walking through the fields. Like, they've kind of done that a bit to death now. But that moment in Gladiator where you see him just talking about his wife and kids and walking up the fields, feeling the crops on his fingers, that's all that there needs to be, is something like that. Shows us, Christopher Nolan, what that love is, or that connection he has to his homeland, to his, to his family, just something like that, just to add to the rest of the action, which was very well done. Again, well shot, well acted movie, some fantastic fight scenes. There's a couple of things I loved in this movie. I just want to say the horse sequence where they're all trapped inside the horse and it's getting dragged into Troy. That was fantastic, because you always see the horse like on wheels and you're like, oh, it must have been pretty cramped in there, but it couldn't have been, that bad. No, this one says no wheels. They are just getting dragged from the beach in this hot thing, trying to be as silent as they can while it's getting stabbed by random swords to make sure no one's in there. Pretty shitty job they did of that, by the way. I'd have skewered a few more areas if I was a Trojan. But that sequence, fantastic. I was like, the way he captured how uncomfortable they were and just how difficult of an operation it was, amazing. The fight scenes, the burning, the pillaging scenes, I thought were done very well. They'd really showed the rage behind everything and the absolute barbarity behind it all.
But we didn't know any of them.
But that's the thing, we also didn't know. Yeah,
I'm glad you brought up Gladiator, because Gladiator, the guys he fights with as well. You get to know those different characters. Yeah,
and we don't get a full scene or anything like that. We just...
Who cares? Give us a full scene. You've got a fucking 3-hour runtime.
No, but what I'm saying is you don't need a full scene. They've got they've got a bit of personality.
They do.
One of them's a bit sassy. The other one's like, haha, I don't trust you at all, Spartan. And then at the end of the film, they're like, I trust you very much, Spartan. And then he dies. So
yeah, I just feel like
Spaniard, not Spartan. Sorry, I don't want to correct myself there. I don't want the Gladiator people after me as well as the Nolan people, man.
Well, they're just coming after me, mainly,
obviously,
I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a visually impressive film. There are some great, interesting sequences that I had to shy away from. But, like Oppenheimer, I leave his movies feeling a little bit empty, because I think there's a lot of words, and there's a lot of talk about heart and purpose and journey, but I don't feel it. It's not on screen to go on the journey, and I don't think that it's difficult to get me on that journey anyway. Like, I'm a pretty empathetic person, and I just think it's a waste of good talent. There's a scene where Elliot Page's character is coming out of Hades. Lots of spoilers in this.
Yeah.
Don't watch this if you haven't seen the film and want to see the film, I think. Anyway, Elliot Page comes out of Hades and he puts in a great performance. He's been betrayed. He was the one left there for are they called Trojans? The
Trojans, yeah. People from Troy are Trojans.
Okay. The Trojans turn up. they kill him, and he doesn't know until he gets to Hades. Sounds like until he gets where he's going on holiday or something, but like, Hades is hell, everybody. He doesn't know until he gets to Hades.
Isn't Hades the god of hell? Either way, he's in hell.
He's in hell. So he gets to hell, and everyone's like, hey, that horse that you were stabbed onto was full of your comrades. Like, but then I'm also like, where the fuck did he think they went?
Yeah.
Were they all like, look over there? Getting in the...
What? What is it?
We're all leaving now.
Keep looking. What? I don't see it.
We're all getting on the boat, and then he like fell asleep, or they drugged him, and then they're like, oh, quick, get in the horse, but don't tell him we're here. I'm not really sure how that worked out, but anyway, he didn't know. He didn't know that he was kind of being set up for them to do that operation, so he feels betrayed, which is fine and fair, and he performs that really well. But then his biggest story is that he was a young boy that was nearly thrown under the bus by evil Robert Pattinson. So we haven't even mentioned evil Robert Pattinson this whole time. Yes. Evil Robert Pattinson was like a teenager who could have gone to war and should have gone to war, but he swapped his token with Elliot Page's child's token. And Elliot Page, we then find out later, was like a servant shepherd boy, right? And evil Robert Pattinson tried to make it out like he was trying to swap to do the good thing. But Odysseus saw that. So I'm not really sure. But he was like, no, a man's pride. But like, pride in what? Your fucking shit son?
Then he also said like, oh, I'll look after your wife. And he was like, yes, I believe you, evil Robert Pattinson. And lets him stay there.
And just Lord. And I will take this small boy to war.
Yeah.
I
think I was supposed to be like a metaphor on sacrifice as well, but I don't know.
Well, it's real hard to sacrifice your slave boy, Daniel.
It is. It is tricky. Yeah.
Anyway.
That's why you don't name him.
And then Elliot Page is like, well, it was to no end because his dad starved to death, who was a shepherd, and his whole family starved. But we don't see any of that. We don't see any of what happens in the greater community. They just talk about how everything's gone to shit. They just talk about how they need a kingdom. But we don't see that Elliot Page's family is dead and that people are starving.
You know what, actually, the only real character they kind of gave that sort of commitment to and made you really care, we both teared up at this, was with the dog.
Yeah, there's a dog.
The dog got flashbacks. The dog got a moment where
the dog did get flashbacks.
where young Matt Damon is like cuddling the puppy, and that was nice. That was like a connection to home that he had.
Connected to the dog.
Which we were connected to the dog, and it was just like. But for me, it felt more like, okay, could we have put some more of that compassion maybe into his son or into Anne Hathaway's relationship? Yeah. Maybe a scene where he was cuddling
or Elliot Page or any of the people they were fighting for, because they're fighting for the Agamemnon?
Something like that.
We have drama degrees.
Yeah,
it's fucking embarrassing. Sorry, everyone. Agamemnon and his brother. And then, but there's no real backstory why he's fighting with them or what they're up to either.
Yeah, which again, I think
is John Bernthal.
Yes.
Who's awesome.
Which again, I think people
backstory.
People would say to that though. Again, man, I'm going to play Christopher Nolan fanboy devil's advocate.
Gross.
Okay.
Stop playing devil's advocate.
What
are you, the man of Hades?
I am the man of Hades. Anyway, they would say maybe like, well, this film is for people who
love dogs,
or these people who know about the story of Troy and who know about the trials of Odysseus. Isn't it incumbent on you to be a smarter person and a smarter film goer?
It's a good point, Daniel, because the majority of film goers are super swept up with Greek mythology and literary history.
I mean, we all know the concept of the Trojan horse. I don't think that had to be explained too much, but also it didn't.
I think that there is an element of that, and there are people that turn up for Christopher Nolan films because he's got so famous, which is like a risk with any. Like, maybe one day we'll reach that level of fame.
Of course,
like, so you know, and we'll eat these words. But
someone will play this, but back to us, and we'll go, I'm so sorry.
Any writer or creator or artist, it seems like there's a point where they get so big that they think they don't need to explain anything. They don't need to kind of somehow. They can just become expanded. Like,
I don't need a co-writer on my movies. Get a co-writer.
get a co-writer. Get an editor, you know? Like,
he's
I
a
don't
great
need an
director.
editor.
I would say he is a great director. I think he does things in his movies that I think look cool, and I think he's got an eye for action, kind of keeping action moving. But for crying out loud, just get someone to come in, doctor the script a little bit, put in a look, put in a flashback, put in a character for the person that he's on a boat with, so we actually care about them if they die or not.
Charlize Theron's also in this movie.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure what she was doing. She's just kind of hanging out on an island.
Calypso, I remember her.
Matt Damon. I'm not sure if she's a god. She just seems like she's just had him on the island and he forgot his memory.
Yeah.
And then they've just been hanging out, which is like fine. But it's
I'd hang out with
Charlize fucking
Charlize.
Theron. She can do anything. Like, I just don't think. And then Lupita Nyong'o, who is also an amazing full body, like physical performance actress.
Us. If you haven't watched Us, watch Us.
Just like has a couple lines where she sits and then one point kills somebody.
She's Helen of Troy, for crying out loud, and she's given nothing.
I think they're just Christopher Nolan's female characters are never super well fleshed out. Ooh,
risky.
That's what I would say. But I especially felt it in this film because I was like, why did you cast these award-winning, can-do-anything actresses and just give them words to say? But they're just wandering around after the men saying things. And Zendaya is also wandering around saying things. They're just all talking. They're just all wandering around,
Zendaya's wandering
talking
around
for 3 hours.
Zendaya's wandering around saying things as a ghost. Spoilers, again. We do spoilers on this show. It's Ghost Zendaya. Ooh!
Why does she care so much?
Rattle my robes!
Dan.
Just saying.
She was murdered.
Yeah, well, again, we probably would have had
But
a lot
why?
more...
I don't know who she was.
Yeah. Now, see, that's what I thought the movie did well at the end, was the sort of unpacking of his... what he did... Well, his crimes, and also, like, the commitment to the horse bit. It was his idea. He played off of Zeus's... Well, they say Zeus's laws, Zeus's rules, basically, with this, which is, you know, you don't present a peace offering as a... I guess they didn't call it a Trojan horse back then. But they present a peace offering as a Trojan horse. As a trap. You play on the best of humanity, that everyone sort of had a foundation to build on, and he betrayed that. He
did.
Yeah, and I think that whole unpacking, like when this was actually done well when he was telling Anne Hathaway his story, and Robert Pattinson was taking the longest time in the world
So long.
to kill Tom Holland.
I think he was
which
doing
does
that
it, by
thing
the
where
way.
you walk really silently, but like in little tippy toes.
And he's doing like pulling out a knife like
we keep
super
shooting
slow.
back to him, and he's like, I don't know, done like a meter. It's like, yeah.
But that part there, when he's explained to Anne Hathaway his crimes and why he thinks he's been punished and why he thinks that's happened to his men,
true.
and we see all that action.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, by the way, Christopher Nolan. Do that a little bit more. Just my advice to you, you know, take it or leave it. I'm sure you need it, you know, financially anyway. But yeah, he's doing that, and then you can see the action. You can see the absolute horrors that were committed on the Trojans, and he's got powerful remorse for what happened there, and he knows that this is like his atonement for that. And I thought that was actually done fantastically well. And just what got me there was just like, okay, you've got this for Odysseus, but can we have some of these things in miniature form for just some of your other characters, just so we know and care about them better? Dune did that really well. You know, they weren't main characters, they weren't super, they didn't have heaps of lines, a lot of them got killed off, you know, because that's the nature of Dune, but we knew them, we cared about them. Josh Brolin's character, cared about him. These things are important.
Yeah. I mean, in our last episode, we talked about the movie Goat, which is a 100-minute runtime animated film. But we care about the whole basketball team, you know? And we know about the whole basketball team.
Raw ball.
Raw ball team.
Continue.
My point is, I don't think the runtime has anything to do with developing character, really, because it's not that hard. There is a hark back where his second in charge saved his life in that flashback. But I still don't know who he is, apart from a man who does not condone rape, which again, very important, not a character trait, not a character trait. So I don't know. I can say that I enjoyed the movie. I'm sure there's people out there who'd like to see it. Some of the sequences are awesome, and the monsters fighting are awesome. But I feel like
the scene with the witch, I thought was fantastic. But again, in my opinion, they didn't call back to that very well at all, which I thought was a shame.
And there's also, I feel like there's even movies like Master and Commander that do like what it is to be at sea in a huge storm and everyone battling for their lives better than this did, you know?
The Perfect Storm, that's a fantastic one. Yeah.
Even the Titanic, Daniel.
Yes.
There's everyone on a boat. There's a lot of characters. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Somehow we know a little bit about all of them and we give a shit.
I think Robert Pattinson could have learnt from Billy Zane a lesson on how to evil.
I don't know what Robert Pattinson was doing. I mean, like, he put in a good performance for what he had.
What he had, yes.
But what he had was, you're evil and want to marry the queen, which, when you compare that to someone like Joaquin Phoenix in Gladiator, holy shit, you know? It's like, and it's not fair to Robert Pattinson to not be given more to munch on, because I think he could do it, and he would deliver.
Yeah.
So it's sad. And also Opie. I don't feel like Opie was given well served.
Who is Opie, Manda?
Opie was one of my favourite characters in Sons of Anarchy, which we did watch all seasons of. Mm-hmm. And I do not recommend that to our viewers. They can stop. You can stop. Stop at season
3. No, stop at the end of season 2, I think.
Yeah, probably for the best, because then we just like... Anyway, Opie was Jax's best friend, and he's just a gentle giant, and he's gorgeous and wonderful, and so kindly. Opie's in this. And he doesn't get justice. And we know nothing about Opie at all.
Yeah.
Except that his name is Mentor, which feels like... Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I just...
Yeah.
I feel bad. Also, there's another Sons of Anarchy character later, so I don't know if Christopher Nolan just loves Sons of Anarchy casting, or there's an overlap there.
He's gotta look this life in the eye. Bing, 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 bing. Okay. Vroom, vroom. I'll edit that out.
The Odyssey, a film by Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
We do not need to own it, Daniel. Even if it's 50 cents.
No, we don't need to own it. No,
I would not watch it again.
Revisit Gladiator.
Lord of the Rings.
Or Lord of the Rings, but if you're going for like an epic kind of, you are my brother, I am your brother, we must fight and we must have epic fight scenes. If you're going for that type of vibe, Gladiator is just, it's so much better than this movie.
Or Lord of the Rings, because Boromir and Aragorn are brothers in humanity. Do they both survive?
What, we're not going to spoil Lord of the Rings? Spoilers. Bunny reviews for The Odyssey by Christopher Goddamn Nolan. For myself, I'm going to put the bunny into this Trojan box, and I'm going to put it in your bunny's kingdom. This bunny's going to come out and commit all sorts of war crimes on your bunny, and then this one's just going to go away for 20 years.
That's how you feel about the movie?
He's also going to meet many people, but we're not going to know anything about them at all. We're just going to know everything there is to know about this bunny. But it will be entertaining. That is my bunny review. Mando.
Here's the bunny. It's in the box. And here's bits of its past just running around. And now it's not there anymore.
Odyssey.
It's my review.